Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Freaky Friday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best, joined by Sterling Holmes. Sterling, Week 4, the Chiefs are off the schneid after restoring some sense of balance versus the Giants. How are you feeling about this heavyweight fight versus the Ravens?
I'm excited, man. I have a lot of nuance, I think, to bring, which I don't know if people like, but I will do my best to bring nuance because even if the Chiefs lose, I'm not telling you yet what I'm doing, but even if the Chiefs lose, I'm not worried about the season in totality. I'm not worried about them missing the playoffs. I would start to be concerned about them in the AFC West battle, of course. I think that's where that part would come into play. But I'm excited to see what the Chiefs look like against this Ravens team. The Ravens defense has so many issues right now. So quite frankly, even without Rashee Rice, I think it's a good time for Kansas City to see them and to face them. Without Nnamdi Madubuike, with a whole bunch of injuries on their defensive line in general, with Kyle Van Noy, I mean, they just have a plethora, a rash of injuries on that D-line. I think it's a good time for KC to face a Ravens defense that is reeling right now. The Chiefs should be getting Xavier Worthy back, right? He had 2 straight practices, so 2 full participants, not LPs. I'm excited for Kansas City in this particular matchup. Heads up, as we're doing this show, Ryder Cup is clearly on right now, right? So if you see me looking over my screen, if you see me looking just over, it's because I have a TV on trying to watch USA kick some European ass. Not working great, but we're going to try.
There you go. And I think it's official. Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network announced about an hour ago that Xavier Worthy is in for Sunday afternoon against the Ravens. I mean, that's just big news. If you saw him at practice yesterday, he was moving his arms all around and looked like he had relatively full functionality, which I just think it was wise to hold him back against the Giants and have some faith that against a subpar ball club, the Chiefs could take care of business. And they did. And you're right. This Ravens defense, I have faith that that's a well-coached team. They'll get it figured out by the end of the season, much like they did last year. But right now, they look pretty rough. They look pretty rough. And there's some reasons for that. We will get to that during our preview. And with that said, let's just jump right in. Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City Chiefs, 10 things to watch. We're going to set the table for today's game. Sterling, I have some things that I have my eyes on. I'm going to, throw them out to you, get your take, and we're going to move through this. So first up, Patrick Mahomes, this is surprising, currently leads the league in passes over 30 yards. Can the offense keep the deep passing game going against Baltimore?
Yes, I think they can. I think they for sure can, especially if he has time to throw, which I know in a couple other questions later on, we'll get into why he should have time to throw. But yes, I think the answer is Tyquan Thornton has been getting open, and he's been getting open not at will, but a lot. Now you bring back in the equation Xavier Worthy. Yeah, I think the deep ball will be alive and well still against a Ravens defense that is reeling. There's no reason to expect it to stop. Patrick is looking to try and make the deep ball happen, trying to bring it back. Not necessarily putting the ball in harm's way, but he's still at least looking that way more than he has in the past probably 2 seasons. So, yeah, I think it does continue against the Ravens. I'll put him down for at least 1 30-plus yard completion and maybe even 2.
This is just the new Patrick. He hasn't been checking down a lot either. And some of this is a byproduct of, hey, Tyquan Thornton is the guy getting open. He's a guy that I'm developing trust with. I don't trust my running backs that they're going to, I'm going to dump it off. They're going to be fluid, make somebody miss, get upfield, make something happen for us. I don't trust that. I don't necessarily trust Travis Kelce as much as I did last year, or especially 2 years ago. Hollywood Brown doesn't look like himself. Juju Smith-Schuster is good for a couple plays a game, but not really a consistent option. So I think this was a point of emphasis for the offense coming into the season regardless. But that burgeoning trust with Tyquan Thornton has really allowed him to make good on that. And also, I just think he trusts that left side of the offensive line a little bit more. And I don't even think that it's Kingsley Suamataia. I just think he trusts his left tackle more right now than he did all of last season. That's kind of allowing him to plant his feet and take those shots. So I'm feeling good about it as well. I don't know that it'll lead the league all season long in passes over 30 yards, but it is definitely good to see this guy back after him being a little bit more dink or dunk than we would have liked the previous few seasons. Number 2, defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike is out. Fellow defensive linemen Kyle Van Noy, Travis Jones, and Broderick Washington are questionable. The Ravens are 25th in defensive DVOA. Can the Chiefs offense get rolling against this banged up unit?
Yeah, again, this is why I think the Chiefs should have the deep ball available with the lack of pass rush. They should, in theory, be able to run the football in this one, although let's be real, they were supposed to against the Giants, and they just don't and didn't. They had glimpses, of course, and Pacheco looked fine when he ran at times, but still not the most explosive plays in the world that were there. So, yeah, I do think you'll see a lot of the pass game involved. Obviously, that's what this Chiefs team likes to do. But yeah, I do think they can, and that's why I was saying sometimes facing the Ravens early in the year is a good thing. Ravens defense, a lot of times it's been the Chiefs defense of old as well, where first half of the season, they're okay. They have games where they struggle. In the second half, they become nails. They figure out what they have. They evolve. That's the Ravens defense. The first few games of the season, they struggle, and then eventually they figure it out, and they become good. So, yeah, I like the Chiefs facing the Ravens this time around, especially with the, again, amount of injuries, unfortunate as it may be, that they have. It's good news for the Chiefs.
I just wish they had a better running game. Watching David Montgomery rip off those long chunk gains last week, it wasn't even Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs looked good, but David Montgomery was the one that was really gashing that Baltimore defense. They're susceptible through the air too. So I just think the Chiefs are set up well here offensively, getting Xavier Worthy back. That left side of the line has almost a month together now, and they're going to put up some points, especially at home in a game where they know, man, if you can send the Baltimore Ravens to 1-3, that is a huge, I don't want to say crushing blow with two contenders jockeying for playoff seeding, but it's a pretty big blow. By the way, love the Bass Pro Shops hat. Springfield, Missouri represent. So number 3, Chris Jones and George Karlaftis both had pass rush win rates of over 25% last week after very slow starts. Can we expect another big game out of both?
So I've gone back and forth because they're trending the correct way, which is great. And Karlaftis in particular feels like a great guy against Lamar because he's great against the run. He keeps his rush lane integrity. I love that about George Karlaftis. The reason I'm almost concerned, the Ravens just give up 7 sacks. And you'll be thinking to yourself, well, isn't that a good thing, Sterling, that they're reeling? Well, that makes me think that there's going to be a lot of pride going into, hey, you're not giving up sacks this week. We are going to make sure whatever happens, you're not getting Lamar brought down behind the line of scrimmage. So part of me almost wonders if there's going to be a huge emphasis for the Ravens on stopping any sort of pass rush. We'll find out. Again, 7 sacks against Lamar. They also have Aiden Hutchinson, and the Lions probably overall have a better defensive line, right? You've seen some guys emerge on that team, some guys that I don't think people even had high hopes for that have really had phenomenal starts to the season. They're not the Lions defense as far as how they're built. They're just built differently. I think they have good games, but I wouldn't probably bet on some sacks for either of those guys. I think that'd be a little too aggressive for my taste. Just keep them contained.
And as great as Aiden Hutchinson is, with the injuries and everything, I don't think that Lions defensive line is miles ahead of where the Chiefs are or anything like that. In fact, even if you think Aiden Hutchinson is better than Chris Jones right now, which is a debate I think that you could go on either side of, George Karlaftis is a pretty good number 2.
Muhammad for them has been great this year. I mean, just incredible.
Yeah, he stepped in for I'm blanking on the guy from New Orleans' name that's always injured. But yeah, he has been good. Karlaftis, you pointed out him being great and contained. You saw that last week when they tried to boot Russell Wilson out and he was not having it. I mean, that is a George Karlaftis specialty. He's going to be fundamentally sound. He's a power rusher. He's not going to win early, but I think especially as the game goes on, you see George Karlaftis kind of get stronger and wear those offensive tackles out just because that guy has a motor that never, ever, ever sleeps. And one thing we should note here, franchise left tackle Ronnie Stanley for the Ravens has an ankle issue. Now, he practiced today. He was back at practice today. But if he can't go, some guy named Joe Noteboom, who I am not very familiar with, is going to step in. So that is something to definitely watch. If they are without Stanley, that would be a huge swing towards this Kansas City pass rush that has had some issues early in the season, even if it didn't look like it last week.
Yeah.
Number 4. You hit on this earlier, is the Tyquan Thornton Renaissance. We're going to try this out. The Tyquanaissance. Is it legit?
Yes, and I love the thought process behind that. Tyquanaissance. I like that. It's like the
Matthew McConaughey, the McConaissance, right?
I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Yeah, I think it continues. I mean, Tyquan's getting open. It's not like he's always blanketed and he's coming down with some tough catches. He made some, that one was a very tough catch. But Mahomes threw that ball. When was the last time we've seen him throw balls like that, especially after a drop? I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with the connection that Tyquan and Patrick have already. I think there's something to him being on the practice squad last year, being brought in, being integrated in the offense in that regard as well. And now once you get Worthy back and eventually Rice, you should see even more opportunities, even less maybe safety help shaded his way. I'm all in on Tyquan Thornton. I don't think he's going for like 800 yards this year necessarily, but I think he's good for like 1 to 2 25-plus yard catch a game. I don't know why it would change. This is what he's doing. This is what he's done, and what I think he's going to continue to keep doing. I'm all in on Tyquan Thornton.
Well, that's been the pattern. He's had 4 games with Patrick Mahomes, including limited action in the preseason tilt against the Chicago Bears. And I think in that one, he had a catch of over 50 yards. But since then, 39, 48, 33, those were his longest catches of the game. So a catch of 33 yards or longer each week. And what I love about this connection is in the last 2 games, Patrick Mahomes has missed him, right? Or they haven't, or Tyquan Thornton didn't quite come down with it. And they went right back to it. That's how much confidence Patrick Mahomes has in this player, the coaching staff has in this player, that they know they're getting close every time. And I think it shows not only a willingness to go there, but confidence that this is a growing connection, that the chemistry is only going to get better with more repetitions and more attempts. So I think what we found, I know we've all been saying this, but I think he is a more consistent, maybe even more explosive version of Justin Watson or MVS, which is that kind of like stretch X type is a very important component of this offense. It will be even more important when Rashee Rice comes back, because that's what's going to allow him to have the space to operate underneath. Or if they try to take away Rashee Rice, you punish him deep. Number 5, 3 weeks in, and Kingsley Suamataia hasn't been benched. That's a relief. Last year, he was already sent to the sidelines by this time. Is the left guard project working out, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's working out. I've been fairly impressed with Kingsley. I know PFF and some other folk might not love Kingsley, but by the eye test, he's been fine. I mean, it hasn't been. He's gotten better too. I think week by week, at least in my estimation. I felt pretty good. I thought he played a good game against the Giants outside of really one bad pass rush or pass pro rep. But the Giants have a great defensive line in that regard, in only that regard. That's the only thing the Giants really have going for them besides Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and then a good pass rush. But he held his own and did a nice job. So, yeah, I've actually been fairly impressed with Kingsley Suamataia. Again, he's not been phenomenal, but he's been serviceable, bordering on average, like middle of the pack. And that's what I think the Chiefs need right now. And he's going to grow. This is his third ever. He's played 3 games at guard in his entire career, maybe 4. So cut him some slack.
If you count that Denver game last year, but yeah, it wasn't a very good environment for anyone to operate in. And I think these past 2 weeks, his bad losses, even the first week, I think his bad loss was against Khalil Mack, if I recall correctly.
It was
2 weeks ago. It was against Zach Bond. This week it was against Dexter Lawrence. Like, if that's who it takes to like make Kingsley look really bad, and the rest of the time he is average, and that's really all we need from the weakest unit or weakest link in this unit is for him to be average, because the rest of the line, when you subtract Jawan Taylor's penalties, he's actually holding up in pass protection relatively well. The penalties drive me crazy. No arguing with that. I've been so frustrated. I've wanted him removed at times, but I think this offensive line is in good shape going forward, and it's probably only going to get better. Number 6, the Chiefs secondary shut down A.J. Brown and Malik Neighbors in back-to-back weeks. Can they bottle up Zay Flowers and the Ravens' fleet of weapons? So one of the surprising things about the Ravens is they really like to spread it around. You never know. Like, Zay Flowers is a consistent, but like, is this a Mark Andrews game? Devontae Walker, where the hell did he come from? Tylan Wallace, where the hell did he come from? Lamar is kind of like Patrick, like Josh. He will spread it around and give what the defense, take what the defense gives to him. How are you feeling about this, Sterling?
Yeah, I feel great. Honestly, this secondary has impressed me so much. And I understand people will say, Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts. Well, Jalen Hurts, when the game was on the line and they needed him to make plays, he made plays. That fourth quarter last week, he was outstanding. Yeah, I get it. You haven't faced necessarily, Josh Allen, or I guess in this case, Lamar and Joe Burrow. But, I'm all in on the secondary. And part of the reason is I think they have him playing in the right spots now. I know Shamari Connor is still playing a lot in the slot, but it feels like they've used him better. It feels like they've used Brian Cook and his resurgence, by the way, which should be noted, better. Feels like they've found the right role for Jaden Hicks after week 1, which has been better. In the cornerback room, you look at Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, they've been outstanding. I mean, Jalen Watson looks like a CB1 right now. So you have Watson playing at a high level. McDuffie is Trent McDuffie. Noah Williams, small sample size, and he's a rookie. I'm sure at some point he'll have some growing pains. Has looked incredible so far. Even with Christian Fulton being injured and not playing, like, Noah Williams, the emergence from him has made this a much deeper group than we expected. And I don't know why it wouldn't keep up. Again, Zay Flowers is good, but that ain't A.J. Brown. That's not Devontae Smith. That's not Malik Neighbors. Yeah, I don't want to be too optimistic for a team that's currently sitting 1-2, but that secondary to me looks like one of the best in the NFL right now.
It does to me as well. And Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt are basically saying, we are going to take away your number 1 guy. The guy you want to go to, he is not going to be available. You're going to have to beat us without him. And when Jalen Watson is playing like this alongside Trent McDuffie, that is a hard tandem to stop. And they've been doing this without Christian Fulton, who is practicing. Noel Williams, who you mentioned, is grading out very well. Chris Roland Wallace looks good every time he gets into the game. And I think those safeties have stabilized. I've been impressed. The first week, especially with Jamar Connor and Jaden Hicks, was a disaster. Honestly, the combination of it, I'm not making excuses, but the combination of it being in Brazil, it was a terrible field. And I think, like everybody else, they were expecting the Los Angeles Chargers to come out and pound the rock. They have been one of the most pass-happy offenses against expectation in the NFL. I think they kind of zagged when everyone expected them to zig, because that coaching staff smartly said, we have Justin Herbert. We're going to throw. This is a really good player. We're going to treat him like one. And I think it caught the Chiefs a little bit off guard. They recalibrated, and ever since they've looked great. And I think Jalen Watson's ability to play press against some of these big alpha receivers like A.J. Brown, like Malik Neighbors, is just really paying dividends. I mean, you saw last week he played press out there on the boundary against Malik Neighbors. They went one-on-one in the end zone, and Watson won that contested catch. And that's a all-pro level play. I'm not saying he's an all-pro or he will be one or he is one yet, but that was an all-pro level play. Very excited about Jalen Watson, because I think he's been oft injured. And when he's had healthy stretches, he's kind of looked like this guy. So fingers crossed he will stay that guy. Number 7, running back Derrick Henry has surprisingly fumbled in 3 straight. I think I know the answer to this. I'm going to ask it anyway. Is this the unlucky end of variance or something the Chiefs can try to exploit?
The unlucky end of variance. I don't want to be the first guy to try and tackle him this week. He looks and seems pissed off about the fumbling issue. I don't want to be the guy to try and knock the ball out and he throws a bow. I don't want to be the guy that gets stiff arm and he takes all his anger out on you after the fumble issue. No, he's too good, and he knows his mistake, or at least he knows that he cannot continue to do this. I would love to say there's something to exploit here, but I think it's just more or less unfortunate. He hasn't really ever had a massive issue like this in his career before, so it's fairly new. I don't think you can count on him fumbling. I'll put it that way. That seems like a bad strategy if you're just going to try and count on him.
He's passed the eye test so far for me. I think it's the unlucky end of variance too. However, Father Time is undefeated. It comes for everybody. We're seeing Travis Kelce have some issues. I think something might happen where these star players, they're mentally there, but their body can no longer do quite the exceptional things it did before. And maybe they're trying a little too hard, or they're a step behind where they were. I don't know. There might be something there. He is pretty old for a running back. I'm not going to bet on him not continuing to be an outlier, because he's been an outlier his entire life, his entire pro career. I mean, he just seems built differently than any running back, save maybe Jim Brown, we've ever seen. So but the thing about tackling Derrick Henry is there are 2 Derrick Henrys. I think if you get him in the backfield or near the backfield, he is relatively easy to knock down. And maybe that's where you can try to do the peanut punch and get the ball out. If he's in the open field, I mean, that's like basically tackling an SUV. I would want no part of that. Number 8, running back Rashard Smith got a couple of touches in week 3, and it, in my opinion, seemed to help open up the offense. Do you think his role will expand in week 4?
Yeah, I think you're going to see it expand week by week. I mean, I don't know how many carries. I'm not saying he's going to get 8 or anything like that, or 8 touches, I guess, because some might be some screen passes, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm in on Rashard Smith getting a expanded role, especially as the season goes on. Maybe it's 3 touches, 3 carries. Maybe it's 4. But I think the Chiefs understand that, hey, good things happen when he's in the game. It makes the run game easier, even if you have him in the game with Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. Even just putting him in motion like that, just the threat has the ability to put the defense on their heels, or at least try and adjust to say, what if they do hand him the ball? We have to make sure we're good horizontally as well. I do think that should open up. I know they're already light boxes, but even lighter boxes. People moving a little bit so that 2 and 3 yard carries go for 4 and 5. So yes, I think you'll see an expanded role, maybe even just more snaps, even if the touches don't necessarily go up a ton, because the threat of him does make a difference.
I saw it immediately. Just the stretch and the strain he put on the defense because they know how quickly he can round that corner, right? I think that makes a huge difference. And now you're going to put another guy that can do that even better in Xavier Worthy on the field. That just gives the defense more to think about. And when you have only Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco back there, they're such regular power running backs that they're not presenting a lot of different possibilities to defensive coordinators. So I just think he gives them a lot more to think about. And last week we saw him kind of get manufactured touches, end around sweeps. I think he got a dump. We'll see if he gets some carries this week. I would like to see him get a carry or two just to see if when one of those holes opens up, he can hit it. He can hit it and find it a little quicker than those other two guys. Isaiah Pacheco has trouble finding it. Kareem Hunt has trouble hitting it fast enough. He has no trouble finding it. They're kind of like polar opposites, those two guys, but neither one is really the Jerick McKinnon speed back or Damian Williams speed back I think this offense really needs. Number 9, quarterback Lamar Jackson ran wild against Buffalo in week 1, but since then he was held in check by both Cleveland and Detroit. I think he had something like 12 rushing yards against Cleveland and 35 against Detroit. You'll take that every day of the week. So keeping him contained is key. Can Spags and the Chiefs defense accomplish this feat?
Yes, if you don't put Chris Jones on the edge. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to see Chris Jones on the edge at all in this game. I don't. This is not a game for Chris Jones to try and go out against a tackle. Keep him on the inside because we know he's going to try and go for the sack. That's what also makes him really good is because he can win quick and at times be an absolute game wrecker out there. But no, keep him on the inside. If they do that, I actually do like the Chiefs change because George Karlaftis is really good at keeping his contain. The other
so
side,
is Mike Dana.
Mike Dana is very good at that as well. You know, we'll see if Ashton Gelati continues to get more and more snaps. We'll have to find out if he's good in that role or not. You know, it's going to be always a unique challenge, probably your first game going up against a guy like Lamar. The Chiefs have the linebackers, in theory, to be able to put a spy, whether it's Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil, Jeffrey Bossa. If they want to go lighter, you could put Shamari Connor in that role as well. Like, I think there's a lot of ways the Chiefs can try and attack this. We know if Spags is great at one thing, it's taking away a lot of times the other team's best attributes. Ravens' best attributes is their run game. I foresee the Chiefs trying to do that and allowing a lot of one-on-ones on the outside with those receivers. So I think he's going to try and make Lamar beat him through the air. If I was a betting man, that's what at least I think Spags is going to do. So, yeah, I think they can slow down Lamar on the ground. You know, maybe I wouldn't say under 30, but I'd say under 50 seems to be the number I'd for sure go after.
Holding him under 50, that seems like a good over and under. I would have to go back and look at the career splits, how often Lamar rushes in games they win versus games they lose. But I think you're onto something with that number. And you gave me a flashback, 2021, seeing early in that season, they were using Chris Jones exclusively as a full-time end. He's sitting there trying to play the option and just looked woefully miscast. I am as high as Chris Jones as anybody, but that playing the option on the edge is not really in his bag of skills. I would be okay with him being on the edge in a clear passing situation, like 3rd and long, but I would be very careful. I'm with you. I would be very cautious about that. And one thing we've seen these past few weeks with Mike Dana out is a lot of Leo Chanel at a stand-up edge, and he is extremely good at setting the edge out there. We saw that in the Super Bowls against the 49ers, especially. I felt like that guy was a force of nature, like just dragging everybody out to the sideline with him and preventing anybody from getting past him on the exterior. So something to watch for if Mike Dana can't go. I know Mike Dana is practicing, right? I don't know if have you heard the latest on that?
I have not.
I don't think we have an update as of right now, but we should know by the time we do our live pregame show. So we will keep you up to date. Number 10, we just got the announcement. Xavier Worthy is actually back. He will play Sunday. Same drill as last week. What percentage should we expect him to be versus the Ravens?
85%-ish, 85. I mean, 90-ish. He's been doing all the drills and going. I mean, he's a full participant, right? It's not like a torn ACL or an Achilles. He has a brace. a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but players play through this. It's going to be more, I think, more pain tolerance than anything else. So with the brace, a lot of times it allows it so it will not pop out of place, but you can still have a full range of motion. He's not Mike Evans or A.J. Brown, those go up and get it wide receivers in the back of the ends. That's not his style, so that shouldn't affect him as much. Yeah, I think that he should be fairly good to go. Don't take the big hits, which is hard in the moment to get yourself to not do it. Do the Tyreek Hill motion where you just kind of fall sometimes, kind of shake. You don't need to try and get the extra yard. Sorry, I'd prefer to have you for the full game versus trying to get an extra yard. So we'll see if that actually works come game time when your brain's on or basically off and you're just letting human nature take over. We'll see. But yeah, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be pretty darn healthy, or at least healthy enough to make a good impact in this one.
It's September, so you don't want him to try to be a hero and fight for, I don't know, instead of 8 yards on reverse, 11 yards on reverse, and Kyle Hamilton or Roquan Smith pile drives him into the turf and lands on top of him, and he's back out for 6 weeks. That's the last thing you want. So I'm with you. Do the little Tyreek Hill, live to fight another day, dip out of bounds, and focus on what you do well. And that's not contested catches. And I don't even know that he really needs, I'm not saying he can't be a vertical threat in this offense, but the vertical threat primarily, the guy that's going to stretch the defense is Tyquan Thornton. And I think Xavier Worthy, that's going to allow him more space to operate as like the true number one target, running more of a big boy route tree and doing some things underneath in the intermediate, parts of the field. Really probably like a better version of what we've seen from Hollywood Brown, because Hollywood Brown, basically good route runner, gets the ball, falls down. You know what I mean? Like he's not really been very dynamic at this point in his career. So hopefully Xavier Worthy can inject some dynamism in some of those routes. Final score prediction. Let's get you guys out of here. Sterling, who have you got?
23-22. Chiefs win. 23-22. I think the Chiefs defense is just good enough, and they'll slow down Lamar and that Ravens offense. And the Ravens, they're fighting, I don't want to say fighting for their playoff lives, but there's a lot riding on this game for a week 4 game. Both teams do not want to go to 1-3. I know, crazy thought, but it's true. I mean, sometimes the simplistic aspect of it is the main aspect of it. Both these teams are dangerous in that regard. Their backs are, to an extent, up against the wall. Until the Chiefs offense starts to put on a show, I'm not going to expect them to just take off, because that seems a little foolhardy. But I think the defense is damn good. So I'll go 23-22, maybe even a missed 2-point conversion by the Ravens yet again this time around.
No issues with Harrison Butker?
Oh, I didn't say I didn't have any issues. Maybe that's why it's 23.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to go 30-27. I just think this, when you're facing a bad defense, what currently is a bad defense, and a high octane offense that's going to get theirs, I think this might push the Chiefs out of, we want to only have 6 or 7 possessions or whatever, and drag this game down in the mud and just get out of here safely with the win. They tend to play things pretty slow nowadays. And I just think there's something about this Ravens team that facilitates shootouts, right? And I could be wrong. The Chiefs might not be there yet, and their defense might do a better job against Lamar and that offense than I think they're going to do. I mean, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to bend a lot, maybe break a little, but come up big in the fourth quarter when Spags kind of pulls a trick out of his sleeve, and he's great at being, again, especially against these. I feel like this is what Spags in his downtime sits around and thinks about. Like, how do I stop Lamar Jackson? How do I stop Josh Allen? How do I stop these guys? And he will have a play at the opportune moment to stop them. I believe that the Chiefs are going to come out victorious. They'll go 2-2 into their matchup, I guess, on Monday Night Football in Jacksonville, which the Jags are a little bit of a mess. So I think if they win this game, they're looking really good to come out of this 6-game stretch without Rashee Rice 3-3. Now, and I'm not saying they can't beat the Detroit Lions either. If that were to happen and they could come out of the stretch 4-2, I mean, they would be really sitting pretty. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Baltimore Ravens are as tough as it gets. They really, really need to win this game. That's all we've got for you guys today. Thanks for the chat. You guys always bring it. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. Subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a show or short. If you're an audio listener, check us out on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. And please consider giving us a 5-star review. That will help us keep this show going and reaching new listeners. And if you do that on, not Spotify, Apple, we will, and ask a question, we will answer that question on Thursday's OG Hour. Lastly, check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. Matt Connor and the gang will have constant updates leading up to game time and after the game on the website. Join us live next Friday at 3 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. And remember, we will be here on Sunday with pregame, halftime, and postgame. Until then, go Chiefs.